Hello, back with part two. So, part two, I just want to play a few clips of a few things and just kind of pick up with the first subset of this discussion that we didn't cover before, but that is listed in the title. And this actually, I have a couple of very specific examples and some that happened in real time involving myself. So, you're looking at the screen. This is from Alt-Right Sunday, the Matt Forney interview. This was like maybe 2 weeks ago, something like that. Yeah, May 6th. This is on Luke Forrest's channel. And so two things. One, I think I can't remember what the sequence, but so there's just there, you can see it's ended up being about 4 hours, but I don't think Matt Forney comes on until the end or the middle. I was going to go try and pull it again and just pull the specific point that he makes this comment, but the time's got away from me, and I'd rather like make the video, and you can go back and listen to it. But it's there and it exists. But and also, I just thought about this now. The replay, I could have maybe found it. But anyway, actually, no, we don't need to because you actually get to hear me speak to the person who made said comment on the video. So there's so someone loosely asked, I guess we're gonna stick with the weight issue first. Damn it, I just caught myself up. Like, actually, let me save this one. So I put weight and I put STDs in the description. So I'll just give you a teaser because I kind of want to move in one direction here. Let's just do this one first. I'll just do this one first, and then I'll just make part 3 be weight specifically with the other 2 videos. There, done. I figured it out. Okay. So this is the original stream. Again, I forgot to go back and mark where the actual comment occurs. And I did go back and find the comment from Dennis, but I don't really remember. So actually, from our little discussion here, you'll be able to kind of ascertain the situation. And I'll take it from, and then I'll just kind of take it from there. So this is, I'll just go wide here. So on Friday, so there was a comment, someone said, I'm going to go approach 20 Black women tomorrow. And then a few comments down, Dennis comes back, I hope you have good health insurance. And I was like, and I basically ended up repeating this here. So I think I'll just play the actual clip from this, and then I can just kind of move into my point. Like, finally. No, I could just make a very succinct point about this concept of carrying stigma like rat carries plague, and that reference. And I think I actually say it pretty good, just freewillingly in this conversation, that I don't have to re-put this together. So anyway, let me just play that for you. That you're on tonight, because I want to say it's a slight bone to pick with you about something you said in the Matt Forney Sunday stream in the comment section.
I'm sorry. Somebody wants to Skype.
Somebody's
okay. Here. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Oh, well, it's funny because I'll just preface by saying, like, the funny thing is great because this is something that we have to own, and Black women like myself it just gave me inspiration. So basically, I was going through the stream. I finally got to watch it. I like Matt Forney. He was on live today. I listen to Rini sometimes too, but I like those guys. And he said something about picking up women. And someone said in the comment, like, I'm going to go I'll approach 20 Black women tomorrow. And then you came back like a few lines down and said, I hope your health insurance is good.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I know what I'm saying.
Well, I do.
No.
But that's the thing, though. That's actually not. But no, I had to stop and go, okay, that could be shady, but then why does that exist? Because there's a reason that exists. And there's this whole discussion, like 2 Black women I know on YouTube put out videos about this. Right. The weight issue with Black women. And there's so many issues why we don't talk about it. And it needs to be talked about, but then other Black women attack you. And you just kind of end up in these circle comments. And so, and that hit me when I read that. And then Matt Forney said something to that effect too. Like somebody asked him in the stream, "Oh, have you ever dated a black girl?" He's like, "No, because I don't want to get an STD." And I like, and I went, but then this is the key thing. Like I said before, majority of black women only date, have sex, and produce with black men. They're not like walking around absorbing STDs out of the air. They're getting them primarily because that's the majority of the men that they have sex and sleep with. Now, I understand why the stigma of STDs and like those type of sexual things follow women a lot harsher than men. I get that. That's crossing racial lines. I get that. So it can trigger me, but that's okay because it comes from a place and it comes from a reason. And I was thinking, just doing this video, because I'm like, well, this is a problem. So if black women can't talk about the weight issue, let's say we all just like, you know, that was you can't even have this discussion with some other black women without them jumping down your throat. Let's say you're all like a size 2, 6-foot glamazon. Then this is the next negative stat that's following you around that you're gonna have to figure out something to do about. So like I could be triggered by it, but I'm triggered for the right reasons and want to address it. So I'm sorry, it was just funny. Like I saw that and I was listening to the stream later. I was like, but it's a valid point of discussion amongst black women that has to happen. But there's something else that you kind of meant by that, or maybe I
was teasing the guy that he was going to get smacked. Is all. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But and the teasing was that nobody was going to get
triggered. And that's the other thing that bugs me sometimes. Like this the literal shade that I read from white. Like, and now, granted, I'm not some new chick to this stuff. I've been reading pretty much. Okay, I'll just stop it there because it keeps going, and I guess that's reasonable too. But okay, it's funny listening to this the second time. Like, outside the conversation itself, I'm like, oh, like I just totally get like triggered for no reason. Because he said like, oh, well, I just implied like they were going to get hit or something. But, I mean, but even that, if he didn't mean that, anyone else in the comment section, anybody else reading that too, it's not just because I'm me. And like, I just honed in on that. I wouldn't be surprised if other people, well, no, because then Matt Forney made a completely separate comment that covered the whole, that knocked that one out. So even if I wasn't originally the only person thinking that, the person we interviewed came up with that conclusion. Well, it was later on in the comment stream. It was just somebody asking what kind of girls he dated. He's obviously dated white women, does date anyone else? And then that came out when someone just directly asked, oh, do you date black women? So for a second, just listening to the exchange with Dennis, and he came back like, oh, like I just meant like they were gonna get hit. And I'm like, and there was just a brief second, a moment ago, listening, I was like, oh, wait, did I just like totally like, going this, whatever. Anyway, you heard it. I don't think I have anything else really to say about that. It's just unfortunate that I don't remember where, because again, I'm always listening, usually I'm working and I'm doing things in my hands, and sometimes I have time to go back and mark time and say, oh, that's where X happened or whatever. But if you go back and if you're in my description below, you can go find the interview and jump around. There's some other good points. Like this should be addressed separately because it actually is not related to the subject of this video. Yeah, exactly. It's not. So I might have to just try to find that again later too. Anyway, so just going off of so we just covered that, and I guess I can just maybe collapse these into part 1 and part 2. This will be maybe a little longer, but I'm going to just go really quickly. And we're just going to listen to a little bit of Simone 5-6, and we're going to listen to a little bit of Egypt Ann, 2 other really great, amazing channels. I think I linked to both of them in the description. I know I do. Yeah, I know I do. So the first video is the Socioeconomics of Obesity. It's on Simone 5-6's channel. And we're just going to listen to a little bit. It's a really good, video. It's a little bit longer, but she kind of, I think, really hits like the keynotes early on. There's also a stream, so people are like chatting and talking too. So anyway, let's just take a little listen, and then we'll go over to Egypt Ann. Maybe I'll kind of move through that one through a few points as well. We've got to stop walking this primrose path of dalliance. We want to walk as black women. We've got to stop doing this. Okay? Again, possible to be empathetic
to women who are obese or overweight, not told this unrealistic line for them, and also not to lie to them either about public perception. It just gets on my nerves. I'm going to read to you something that, no, actually I'm not. just have to say it because it's just so annoying to me. It's so funny. I am an avid watcher of My 600-Pound Life. I love that show. I love that show as a weight loss surgery patient myself.
Okay, I'll just stop there. I'm really having a hard time today. Like, again, the links are below. You could go watch and absorb. Because like there'll be a couple that jump out to me, and I guess just lately I've just been kind of listening to things. And so basically one point she makes earlier on in this is that she mentions like the earlier BWE types. It's funny, when she said that, she made me instantly think of like Dee Dee Russell. She's like a fact Facebook page, Beyond Black Women with Other Brothers, and she's always been really kind of militant about the weight thing, about weight. And it's so funny. Actually, I think Egypt Ann's video will give me a much better kind of like framework because it's pretty short. It's only like 2 points, and anybody can watch it in 7 minutes. And not more I think about it, I think she says what I'm trying to say better than I can like say it. Or I need a little bit of fuel first. So let's just jump over here. This is "You won with black men, but lose with white men." And it's Egypt Ann, but she always kind of making changes to her name, so it's Shady Egypt Ann. So we'll just listen to this real quick.
And subscribe. I want to have a serious discussion about why it's okay for black men to have their preference, but it's not okay for a white man to have his. All right? See, everyone is okay.
So I guess okay, this is helpful. So the general idea of weight in black women being too many being obese, too many being overweight, and just even however many are or aren't, that being such an overwhelming perception or overwhelming characteristic. Like when you think of like Asians, you think of math. Like it's one of those things that more often than not comes up and comes to the forefront when we hear black women, like, oh, fat black women, thick black women, blah, 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 blah. Like, it's just one of those, like, like a Family Feud, and you have that category, like, name something that blah, blah, blah. And there's like 6 things. And too often not, that's like one of those 6 things. So just branching from there, this one I found is really interesting because it kind of branches off of this into the race differences. And a few, actually, we'll just kind of go through this video because there's a few points that I can just kind of pull while I'm talking about black women and weight carrying the stigma, and also what she ends up doing here is kind of factoring in the white man question. I guess even you can even branch that out to like the non-black man preference. There was some study they did a survey of like, or just a porn website search from certain parts of the world, and they kind of showed that the Western world was increasingly more butt focused. So then, big booties, sometimes alongside or separate from, anal sex. And then like the Eastern, like Eastern Asia, Russia, whatever, they were more breast focused. And that kind of is a little bit more traditional. It's more in line with like, the woman's breast. They used to nurture, to nourish, so on and so forth. So that distinction there between the thick fat black woman, it kind of exists in a this is finally the time I can actually do this. So there are a couple ways that this functions. So one, it's the big black woman with the the big thick hips, the big ass. It's become so much of a goodness. I'm like, sorry, I struggle right there. Had it, then I like went off. So like we're trying to make sure. Okay. So what I guess what I'm trying to say here is, before we start this one, when she talks about the black man versus white man preference, that this kind of cuts in both directions for the idea of Black women in weight, size, shape, health status, you know, being obese and plagued with like some of the things that follow along with that, way your appearance looks, etc. And what it means, because if so many people, this will be direct point back to the first part of this video. If people are already looking at you and, you know, the fat thing is there, then beyond that, especially as more recent years have popped up, the whole, you know, but then it's like, never mind. You just, but then the STD question, that's like floating there, like, oh, well, they're all just dirty little whores or something. But then, like I said in the conversation with Dennis, you know, since the majority of Black women don't see Black men, I don't really, and then that actually fed into another, where I cut that video off. I was also saying, it's so funny hearing like, oh, I've never heard a Black woman, they're this or that and the third, about too many white men in the scene. It's like, well, since the majority of Black women are only checking for their chocolate kangs, even though, you know, things are changing, you know, across different, you know, spaces and places, but that's still so hardwired into the general discussion that it's kind of pointless for you to be just shading Black women about them being manly, beastie, whatever, alongside, you know, the same, you know, brothers that run their mouth saying the same stuff. It's just kind of like it's just a way to push the dagger in, just to be shitty, basically. So anyway, so we get into this black-white question and then perception, because I already kind of just showed you an example of like these two people that, you know, just in this different scene that, you know, one that I did a stream with, one I talked with, one that was being interviewed, and just being over there in a very more white male-centric circle and grouping, or just sort of population that's the majority. So it's almost like this weird kind of parallel, like to these IRL situations that occur. So all right, enough of my explaining, my Black chick explaining, I guess. Let's just play this, and we'll just kind of flow through this one. This is 7 minutes, and I'll just definitely, no matter what, this will be it in this part 2. I might return to the series later under some other type of discussion, maybe if I'm so inspired, but anyway. I don't know if you noticed that in the photo she used, this is George Lucas and Melody Hobbs. Yeah. That's Star Wars dude. It's funny how much he looks like Roger Ebert, who also, you know, was that his first wife or second wife? Robin, right? Anyway, he kind of looks like Roger Ebert, who married a Black woman too. Just random thought. All right, I'm just gonna start this. Well, because she talks all, because Egypt Ann, what she describes is she's. Oh, another interesting point between her and Simone. Now, Simone just briefly caught the interest that she's had a gastric bypass, or she's had like kind of weight surgery. I'm sorry, I don't misspeak. I believe she said it was that, but don't quote me. And, you know, has, you know, talked about that end of the spectrum of being someone that was, you know, a very heavy Black woman who's, you know, undergone corrective surgery and serious lifestyle changes to get her weight down. And in Egypt Ann, as though she describes herself as she's relatively thin, you know, she got like, I think she said she got a little hips, a little that, but she's very skinny, petite Black woman. So let's dive in. It's interesting hearing both of them kind of talk about this subject across a couple different areas. So anyway.
With the Black man saying, I need
Let's just start the video.
So I'm sitting at home and I'm watching Casino or whatnot. And I saw the scene, what's so crazy, the scene with those showgirls, they flew in from Paris. It was a scene that was about this one girl being overweight pretty much, you know, and Robert De Niro's like, why is she 8 pounds over? Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And in conjunction to the videos I did yesterday about the white man's preference. Oh, yeah, remember, you guys, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. I want to have a serious discussion about why it's okay for Black men to have their preference, but it's not okay for a white man to have his. All right? See, everyone is okay with the Black man saying, I need hips, ass, titties, you got to be thick. And even these Black women, when I was looking at that girl's, you know, her feelings report, she was in.
Okay, let me pause right there real quick. So that's what hit me. That's what I was trying to get into, but I kept losing my like the focus. So think about, again, we talked about rap hip hop culture briefly in part 1. So the global rap hip hop, black, male centric, but general black culture, particularly is evidenced in America, with influence and contributions from other parts of the diaspora, primarily us, has been, so think about the images, the big fat ass shaking your booty, up to the point now where girls are getting putting all kinds of who knows what into their backsides by actual doctors, or in too many cases, not even actual doctors, and that having a whole host of ramifications we're just barely going to start to see or understand or comprehend. So the black male physical type preference, because then it filters out to the culture, like the way we've seen everyone get more booty centric, like Meghan Trainor is all about that bass kind of. It's funny, like it's almost like something you would have heard some black chick singing in the 90s, maybe early 2000s, but it's filtered all the way down into like the general, i.e. majority white popular culture, this booty centricness, shaking your booty, shaking your ass, twerking. We could take a twerking class in like any town, USA, suburban, like gym. It's just the way the stripper culture kind of moved in and the strip pole. So all those preferences are allowed, and they've been kind of reinforced back into the culture. And one particular detrimental effect that's a theory, like the whole, you hear so much about white women have gotten so fat, you can't go into the red pill, MGTOW, manosphere type circle. And even filters into a lot of the general alt-right, dissident right too. These opinions about white women, oh, they're getting so fat now, and they're not this, they're not that. Particularly, they're getting fat, and they're just body positive, blue-haired feminists, SJW types, just in the general kind of like women. And I mean, don't get it wrong, men and other people are carrying it too, but a certain focusing in on white women carrying more weight going forward. I'd argue that a distant side effect of this culture of like, the black man wanting his brick house. The thing is, before it was rap and hip hop, there was already there with the black male like older songs like I want me a big fat woman, or I want like some like the black comedian male said I want me a big fat black woman because blah 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 XXX. I had to go look up who actually said that. Some comedian from probably about the 70s, maybe 80s, whatever. So the black male's preference lean towards those things. And if you look again, that kind of comparison between the more white and probably more Northeast Asian parts of the world, traditional breasts versus the Western, kind of the heart of the global, well, some people call it global homo, mass consumers culture. We're kind of living in the post, like, total denduification of music and popular culture. I talked about this with Dale. I was like, all the country music sounds like rap, like shake. Yeah, like that. Oh my God, that song, that country girl, shake it for me. And I'm like, those songs make me uncomfortable. This like the rapification of country music. The scene about a little bit of raunchier sex, shaking your booty, ride it, girl. I want to ride, blah blah blah. Like you see, there's a host of examples. I don't want to get lost in examples, so I'll just go back to Egypt Ann. But there you go. So that kind of tied a little bit of that in for me about us talking about weight in black women and how this is kind of referenced throughout the world and what the actual preferences for black men versus white men, and just in general, like what you prefer and what type of body type and what that signals. And with so many black women, too many of us stacked into one direction towards a race of men that even in so many spots, in so many spaces, don't want you, they want that type. But like I told Dennis Dale again, you should go back and listen to that Friday night. He ended up calling it Friday Night Chill Room. Yeah, go listen to that, because actually I remember now. I said that too. Yeah. Anyway, let's just jump back in. Oh, Miss Archduchess is live. Oh, they catch it after I'm done. But yes, let's jump back into Egypt Ann.
Spoke to me in the midst of that paragraph. She was saying shit like, "Oh, she's flat, ain't got nothing." You know what I mean? See, this is the kind of stuff that black women say about skinny, petite women. But then when you call them fat, on the other hand, oh my God, she's body shaming. So you don't think calling someone a stick, a twig, ain't got nothing, look like a boy, shaped like a boy, y'all don't think that's body shaming? No, black women don't think it's body shaming. When somebody call their ass fat, Oh, they're body shaming. All right, as far as I'm concerned, people are always body shaming me. All right? But if I say that you're really overweight, oh my God, she's body shaming. She has a problem with curvy girls. Majority of black women have a problem with skinny girls. Majority of black women have a problem with skinny girls. All right? They just do. All right? And then it's okay for black men to push their damn preference to the world and tell everybody they gotta have ass and she thick and you shape like. But see, when I say a white man, when a white man don't like that thick shit, oh my God, and I say, the white man thinks your thickness is disgusting. Oh my God! Like, why is it that the white man's preference is so irritating to hear? So I guess me having to hear the black man's preference all my life is not irritating to me. And then black women push this propaganda to other black women as well. Within that paragraph, see, this is the thing I don't understand about people. They file a hurt feelings report, but then in the middle of filing their report, they insult you too. So I'm supposed to have a heart after you just said I was shaped like a boy. Okay, you don't even know what my body looks like. All right? You don't. These people, anyway, so why is it that the white man's preference hurts black women so much? Why? Why? Because somebody just told you to act polite and you'll get a white man when I'm telling you you're going to have to put in some work to actually get that white man? All right? Some real work. I'm not talking about your acting skills and sounding all sweet and innocent. No, I'm talking about that physical work that means that you're in shape. Okay, I see a lot of white.
Let me pause it right there because that was a killer right there. So it's funny as she mentioned that, and again, like I said previously in other videos when I was talking with Dennis Friday, there's just so much denial here, and I didn't think of this until just now. And well, I thought about this briefly when I first listened to this. She's kind of hitting the point where and I've observed this too. I can't remember it happens so much with black women. I just probably lost count. But there was some comment or something going on, and it's like, if you just want to sit online and stare at pictures of black women swirling with some non-black dude and the kiss, like again, Dee Dee Russell came down. People stop putting them kissy photos unless you're married. You've been married for some time. No pictures in your bedroom. No like goof over the top, swirl pictures where sometimes the chick is just sitting there beaming. The guy just kind of whatever. Yeah, just don't. Like that's kind of what she was, hitting at, and some of those in her criticism, and it just seems like that's the reason why too many black women in these circles and these like interracial swirl things, and then the weight issue. I suspect that there's just a chunk of people. It's almost like over in the alt-right, the whole idea of the Nazi 1488 LARPer, and a interesting parallel I'm just thinking right now is that there's some black women who are overweight. They're never going to lose weight. They don't want to, and they just want to kind of like dream about swirling, look at like cute photos of like swirl families and swirl kids, and just oh, it's so great. And and then when there's real discussions about weight and things like this and moving forward and doing different things for yourself, just for you, that's not even in a relation that said you getting a rainbow or swirling, and then that's where some of these hurt feelings about weight and stuff are coming from. Because we can talk again, you can talk about the black male, his delusions all day. You can talk about the cows come home, but as a good chunk of black women here figured out, some of these black women, too many black women are just, again, because I've always said it's a racial issue. It's not just black men, it's not just black women, it's a collective sub-Saharan African people racial issue. It's all of us. But that one in particular, because some of them is the way you getting so triggered, and and if it's the internet, I don't know this, you are just sitting around eating bonbons, listening and watching this stuff. And then those of us who want to have serious conversations like this and implore black women to live better, to look better, they get all, triggered like this experience that she just had. So I want to get back to the video, not go on too many different angles. This is probably a subject that will be discussed more often. Especially talk about doing maybe some other types of videos here that may be totally unrelated to this kind of current events, racial, social, political, cultural notes that I tend to do here. But again, this will definitely be a subject that gets returned to. So I thought I had another thing to say, but I probably don't. So let's just jump back in.
Men, I see they wives, especially the white men with money, that's riding around in the damn, Ferrari and Audi and all this other stuff. Even their wife is cold. All right, even their little white wives they have. I saw one yesterday. This man looked like he was about 70. His wife looked like she was in her 60s. Blonde lady, fine. Okay, that girl, his white wife was bad. Okay, she looked good. She had I don't know if maybe she had her makeup done really good. She had her little blonde curly hair. She had big boobs and she was in shape. Like, you can't get in the passenger side of my car if you're not looking a certain way. And the black man's preference is you have to be light skinned, foreign looking, and a really thick shape. A white man's preference, you have to be petite, and maybe they want a girl with some jugs. They have no problem. Like, I've had white men offer to buy me boobs before. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they may like that, but they like.
Oh, like, I've had people offer to buy me boobs before. Oh, Egypt Ann, nice. So it goes right back to with black women. You have your too many. Those of you who are sitting here triggered about weight. And the funny thing is, you triggered about weight, but then as I showed you earlier in this video, you got a whole other perception, another stigma chasing your ass around. So if you think this weight thing is hard, I mean, especially nowadays, there's so many different ways of losing weight, getting in shape. I mean, from the surgical to the holistic especially now with the internet, it's not as daunting or as it has been before. And in Simone's stream, someone said, well, not everybody can be 120 pounds. No one said that. Who said that? Who said that? No one. Again, it's black women's delusion and her cowardice. You're just gonna sit here like no one said be 120 pounds. No one said that, but like there's obviously like I mentioned briefly in Punta Cana, there was this really, really overweight black woman, and she had this really short dress on. I get it, like the island country, these little resort things. Everybody just is just more skimpy than you ever would be dressed, just because you're in and out of the water, you're doing stuff, whatever. I get it in the heat, I get it. But it was just not a good look or good fit. It was like skin tight too. Oh, and it's like, and I think that why a change is going to come, because again, if this is the perception and the problem, and black women who are divesting, who move in other ecosystems as far as dating, mating, relationships, work, life takes us, we don't want the stigma of you and your obstinance and your just, unwillingness to be honest about this weight situation and perception that plagues us. Like, it's a stigma that, like a rat carries plague. Again, going back to the title of this video, that's a problem. And if you're making me, and I feel like in a certain way too, maybe one thing we don't want to say is like, you're making me look bad. Or, and because every other race of woman has plenty of fat land whales, bum bitch looking chicks that are just beat. There's some busted looking white women. There's some busted ass looking Asian women, Hispanic women, black women, every woman. So like, that's the thing. But no other group of women carry so many like negative stats like that, especially in terms of like the in the physical sense, just along with the weight. And then again, we have like two or three other things that fall right along behind that. This is actually something that's achievable. I mean, they all are things that are achievable that can be changed in numerous ways, but the weight thing is a health concern. I mean, I think the tide may slowly turn more and more, but how many people, especially all of us with boomer parents and grandparents who died because people had to get a leg removed because of the diabetes or they were overweight. So, especially now coming through all of that, it's, I mean, after seeing so much of that happen, you would think, I think that has moved the dial a bit, but then it hasn't completely. And then you deal with all the other reasons. Like, I didn't even talk about this yet, and I don't want to diverge yet, because again, this is something that'll come up later. And it might be another little single serving subject to talk about. But again, I think that's maybe something that even people like myself didn't want to say, or like feel weird saying it, but it's like, you're making me look bad. We already have enough as Black women to deal with in terms of perception. You know, you just waddling around being a fat ass for no good reason just embarrasses me, and it's annoying. Just stop it and figure it out. You know, I know that there's a lot of emotional issues, a lot of abuse issues, poverty issues, money. So they're behind the way we eat and weight loss choices. Maybe one day I'll talk about my family and food and weight issues, because that's definitely a story, and the health issues that come along with it. Definitely got a nice little cozy story for you guys about that. So I'll leave that there and jump back into Egypt Ann video.
Women in shape.
Sorry,
and why is it so hard for Black women to hear that when Black women don't give a damn about how the Black man pushes his preference off to people? All right, and then to make matters worse,
I think that's might have been one of the things. So she juxtaposed all that with the white man's preference. I got what she got mad about the jokes, but like the slimness, being in shape, being fit, like even and that it was beyond white men. That's just more. I mean, hell, ask the Asians for that matter. Just basically everyone, but him likes a woman that's fit, in shape, trim. You know, every group of embracing men, you know, there's plenty of fat ones there. And also just maybe they might not be fat, but some of the women they might end up with or have been married to, who had children or not, end up being fatter, bigger women. That happens too, but they don't go out celebrating big asses, being just big and thick. But see, the thing is, that's maybe I missed the first video, and I'll just say this quick now. There was this big setup up until about, I would say, the 90s, late 90s, the early 2000s, in the culture particularly, but it's been slowly building probably to the 80s and 90s. It was supposed to be good for Black men to be thick and be a brick house, and that was over encouraged. But as the Black male started to get more access to other ecosystems and other women, for a lot of reasons that I have to maybe suggest happen, they started looking back at Black women. And, you know, we're still singing, yeah, mama, brick house, be a thick girl, write books like Monique calls skinny bitches are evil. All that kind of mess, being obstinate and being stationary, not paying attention to the changing cultural circumstances around us. Like those chicks in the Jungle Fever video I did here on this channel. They were sitting there crying their beer in the 90s about the brothers dating white women. And Black women have the same conversation today because no one is actually doing anything besides sitting there with their sisters crying over wine, you know, whatever. So I'll leave that there. That's how I want to come back to the white man's preference. And what she's kind of suggesting here is like they don't really put up with all that mess. So if you want to swirl, you want to let people, you know, have all these jokes for days about Black women, this kind of disdain and distastefulness, the way just changing that metric in a very noticeable big way across the map for us would pay off huge dividends. But also it's one of those things like I tangentially mentioned when Dennis and I talked about, I said boomers, a lot of things that the alt-right and dissident right want to be possible become possible as this population, you know, moves on into the afterlife and stuff. You know, there'll be a lot more motion to move and change things. We have just such a big block of people that belong to certain ideas, certain whatevers that we have to move on from to have this window open of change. And a lot of Black women from the mammies, the Black women, the pro-Blacks, we got to uplift the Black community, mammy. You know, some of them are older Black women, and Black women now, there's at least a good half or a good quarter of the population who are 50 and older, maybe more like 60 and older, and they're just not, some are being reached and some are being reached, and I know that for a fact. But we aren't going to be able to really move this ball as far as Black women and weight and some of the mammy muling until maybe in a more noticeable, sizable moment as those populations move onward. Anywho, back to Egypt Ann.
This girl, like, oh, I know a lot of white men that don't find her attractive. What? Basement dwellers who know they can't talk to me anyway? The only type of white men that don't like me are broke. Okay? They are broke. All right? Those are the only ones that may have it. They don't, you know, they don't like me or whatnot. They're broke. They're broke and they're broke. But when I'm talking about the people with the money, they like Egypt Ann, okay? And, you know, I'm just tired of Black women being hypocritical about this situation. They don't want to listen to me say, you know, suit up and boot up the right way. You know, even the girl who swirls, she's in shape, okay? She has a nice shape, all right? You think she would have got the life she lived if she was fat? All right? Do you think that she would be living that life that she's living right now if she was not in shape? The girl who swirls is a nice brown skin. She has a nice size for her age. She's not all out of shape. And, you know, these women be lying to you, not telling you, not keeping it real. You know?
Yeah, let's just pause it right there. So if anybody listening is not familiar with the girl who swirls, I'll just pause real quick because this in real time, because she's making a great example of crystalline. Let's just go over to Oh, I can just scan a picture. Okay, well, this thumbnail is good. See if I can just. It's not letting me hone in. But anyway, this is crystalline Harrison, the girl who swirls. It's like kind of her like tagline to her like brand or what have you. And it might be in Google Image. I just don't. I'm doing really good with time for me, considering. And I know I've hit about 20 minutes now. Anyway, nice trim shape. She's like, she's like over our age. She's 42, 41, 41, 42. And, so she's like, yeah, this is a good looking, bad looking black woman. And, bad in a good way, obviously. And the funny thing is like, yeah, I don't think, but the funny thing is I have to be honest. There are and sometimes they do those swirl montages. And actually just recently, a friend of mine told about some friends of his, and they're an interracial couple. It's a black woman and a white man, and she's like a thicker girl, not obese or anything. He's like a little bit burly, and she's a little bit burly. And I've seen couples like that, and like, yeah, that's all fine and good when that happens, and it's just going to happen to some varying degrees. But just across the map, like being just, it's a better thing. It's like leave the white man, black man preference thing behind. Every other race of woman has a bunch of fat ones, bunch of ugly ones, bunch of fugly ones. But you need like a whole spectrum. You need that to not be, at least if not in real actuality, to be the perception of a majority of women in your clan. So she's a girl swirl. So I'm just gonna jump back real quick because I think I missed one thing.
All out of shape. And, these women be lying to you, not telling you, not keeping it real,
And it kind of goes back to her point about the whole, just be nice and smile and, do a kind of like a few like top 10 Cosmo listings to date non-black men. But yeah, like it's not, and it's nice to just kind of, get people like, and I'm not even talking about crystalline at all, because her pink pill series, from what I understand of it, is been very revolutionary. It's getting into a lot of things that are afflicting black women as far as just general lifestyle, like a whole like 360 look. And then part of like, you can't at first, like, it's not just about being cute and being nice. And then I'm like swirling. If you're like I got kind of mad at Dee Russell when she shaded Kendall St. Charles, like this is about a year ago. And she's like, oh, well, and I remember thinking, going to museums and wearing pink, and black women should be traveling more, go to San Francisco and get a manicure, pedicure every week and wear a lot of pink and be nice and smile. And she has other things that she goes really deep in about, she talks to black unmarried black mothers, particularly about being careful who they date, if and when they date, all no matter who they're dating, as far as having children if they do, and when that kind of how that plays out. So there's other things she talks about besides wearing pink or being flirty and fun and carefree. So I'm definitely not saying that at all. But some of the work that I just found it funny that someone heard and recognized what Kendall was doing at the time, and that could just be for a number of reasons I won't speculate. But she kind of made a point, and I kind of thought that too. Like, yeah, like I can do all that stuff, but it's nice that we talked about parent issues, mother issues. We talked about this kind of concept of dark wisdom and just these ideas, these kind of very countercultural ideas for Black women to think about, and just real-time looks at things that are happening in the world right around us, and using that as a way of examining the past, present, and future of us as Black women. But so she goes and she said what Egypt Ann just said about some of these Black women being delusional. It's just, I just fear it's not like trying to maybe always be manipulating Black women, but it's nice to just sell women like top 10 lists about how to do things. So now the culture's moved to where Black women or the marketers or people know, so, they're seeing more Black women dating out And now it's just easy for them to like start running little articles about us just doing nothing and put on like a skirt and like just like the kind of Cosmo top 10 listification that people used to just sell things to women. Maybe that's okay. I'm really as well some tangent that like it's worthy discussion, but I think I'm kind of getting away from the point. And we're almost at the end. But did you catch her? Like I loved her comment. Like somebody offered to buy her boobs before. That's insane. I'd be kind of skeeved out if somebody walked up and asked me that. But I mean, and she didn't say that, just walked up on the street and asked her. It might have been someone she was dating. But anyway, but that's funny. He said they want big jugs. I heard everybody use the term jugs. She's kind of young. It's like an older person word. Like nobody calls boob jugs anymore, do they? Anyway, the white man likes jugs. The black man likes big asses. Cue the Kardashians.
Even Star Jones, she's married to that handsome old white guy. She lost some weight. All right? You think the old Star Jones would have been able to get that white man? Hell no. Nah. But she got herself together. She's in shape. Now she got her a white guy. And she's not skinny, but she's a decent size for her age. You know what I mean? It just got to be age appropriate. Y'all think that y'all about to be walking around with all this cellulite and these and I know I'm probably going in, but I feel like I have a right to say what I want to say, just like these women be talking about how skinny and disgusting I look, and sickly and boyish I look. All right? So if you don't want people talking about you, then stop saying that stuff to other people, talking about they skinny.
All right, so that was it for Egypt Ann. So what I think I'm going to do now, I'm just going to wrap it up here. Again, these subjects will be discussed again in the future. So I'll leave that there, and I'll be back with another video. Maybe I'll get back on tonight. Gotta go have some Sunday dinner. And I got a little cooking to do myself, too. So, yeah, I'll catch up with you guys hopefully later on tonight. If not, definitely tomorrow. Got some other things that I definitely want to discuss. So, cheers.